We all have them. They can make or break you. They can fly you to the highest heights or bury you beneath the lowest lows. They make you happy. They make you sad. They make you love. They make you mad. They can heal the world or destroy it in a fiery blaze of fury with just one push of a button. But what if I told you I'm going to teach you how to master them in just 3 simple steps? Emotions. What are they? Emotions are personal experiences that impact our thoughts, behaviors, and overall well-being. They are subjective, meaning they are perceived and experienced differently by each individual. Emotions have both mental and physiological components, meaning they affect our thoughts and feelings, and our thoughts and beliefs can affect the way we experience emotions. To date, there are 4 prominent theories of emotions: the James Lange theory, the Cannon-Bard theory, the 2-factor theory, the theory of constructed emotion, with the first 3 being traditional theories and the 4th being modern. The James Lange theory, developed in 1884 by William James and Carl Lange, proposes that emotions are a result of physiological responses to stimuli. According to this theory, a stimulus triggers a physical response, which in turn leads to the experience of an emotion. The Cannon-Bard theory, developed in 1915 by Walter Cannon and Philip Bard, argues that emotions and physiological responses are triggered simultaneously by a stimulus. According to this theory, emotions and physiological responses are not causally linked, but rather they occur at the same time. The 2-factor theory, developed by Stanley Schachter and Jerome Singer in 1962, suggests that emotions are a result of both physiological arousal and cognitive labeling. According to this theory, a stimulus triggers a physiological arousal, which is then interpreted by the individual and labeled as a particular emotion based on their interpretation of the situation. The constructed emotion theory, put forth by Lisa Feldman Barrett in her book, published in 2017, challenges the traditional view that emotions are universal, biologically determined states. According to Barrett, emotions are not innate and universal, but rather they are constructed in the moment based on the individual's interpretation of their physiological responses and environmental cues. In other words, emotions are not just feelings that we have, but instead are created by the brain through an ongoing process of perception and interpretation. No matter which theory you agree with, one thing stands true in regards to all of them. You can control your response to your emotions, and I'm going to teach you how in 3 simple steps. Step 1 is to establish mindfulness. So what is mindfulness and how do you establish it? Mindfulness is remembering to be mentally present and vigilantly watchful of your experience. Establishing mindfulness is simple and requires a little bit of effort to get good at it. So, to establish mindfulness, you simply turn your attention inward and closely observe your subjective experience, watching your emotions and your thoughts, seeing what they are doing, noticing how they are constantly changing, arising and falling away, jumping from one thought to the next. Now let me explain why this is key. So ask yourself, why can't you control your emotions? The reason we can't control our emotions is because our emotional responses are something that happen at an unconscious level due to certain causes and conditions that are also not under our control. If we could control our emotions, probably no one would ever choose to experience any kind of negative emotions. So we can't control our emotions, but we can learn to not let our emotions control us. And it begins with mindfulness. Because if you think about it, whenever someone says they want to control their emotions, oftentimes what they really mean is they want to prevent their emotions from controlling them. They want to stop themselves from automatically acting on those impulses and urges that tend to get them in so much trouble. So how do you do that? How do you stop yourself from automatically acting on those troublemaking urges and therefore prevent your emotions from controlling you? Well, automatic action means you're acting unconsciously. The first thing you want to do is make yourself conscious of the process of that action. This is why mindfulness is key. Practicing mindfulness meditation can help individuals develop awareness of their thoughts and emotions and reduce negative emotions by decreasing reactivity to stress. So not only does mindfulness make the process of the action conscious, mindfulness also slows down the process, which stops the automatic behavior your reaction in its tracks and puts you back in the driver's seat, giving you an opportunity to take a different action and allowing you to become aware of how your emotional state is being produced, sustained, and made stronger by the stories and narratives you proliferate in your thinking. The things you tell yourself in your mind can give rise to and strengthen negative emotional states. So establishing mindfulness is the first step to not letting your emotions control you. The next thing you want to do is mentally label the emotion you're experiencing. So, say if a feeling of anger arises, you want to first be mindful of that experience. Then you want to mentally label it, saying to yourself, anger, 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 or I am feeling anger right now. This is an insight meditation technique, a type of mindfulness practice known as Vipassana. This particular Vipassana labeling practice was made popular by Burmese Buddhist monk and meditation teacher Mahasi Sayadaw. But in a paper published in 2007, scientist Matthew Lieberman and his colleagues at the University of California in Los Angeles did studies that showed labeling your emotional experience decreases activity in the amygdala, a part of the brain that has been traditionally identified with emotional arousal, and discovered that activity increased in the right ventrolateral prefrontal cortex region of the brain, a part of the brain identified with inhibiting irrational behaviors. They found this labeling of the emotional experience made the emotional experience less intense. Dr. Lieberman stated, when you put feelings into words, you're activating this prefrontal region and seeing a reduced response in the amygdala, he said. In the same way you hit the brake when you're driving when you see a yellow light, when you put feelings into words, you seem to be hitting the brakes on your emotional responses. So step 2 to stopping your emotions from controlling you is to label your emotions. Step 3, utilize cognitive reappraisal, or what is cognitive reframing. Cognitive reappraisal is changing the way you interpret or think about something in order to change how you feel. Remember when I said the things you tell yourself in your mind can give rise to and strengthen negative emotional states? Well, those stories and narratives you tell yourself in your mind are most likely not true, and they are called cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions happen whenever we make false assumptions or interpretations about some event, situation, or thing in a way that create and sustain negative emotional states for us. For example, imagine you're feeling great, walking down the street on a nice sunny day. You see a friend up the street off in the distance but not too far away. You call out your friend's name, but they just walk away. Now, the meaning you give to that experience and the story you tell yourself concerning it can affect your mood and maybe ruin your day. Now, if you tell yourself, oh my, I know he heard me calling his name. He just ignored me and walked away. He didn't even look at me. He must really dislike me. I wonder what I did to make him feel that way about me. You're very likely to feel really bad if you do that. But using cognitive reframing to reinterpret the situation, saying to yourself, maybe he simply didn't hear me, you're not likely to be bothered much. If you contemplate, perhaps something is troubling them and they aren't in the mood to chat. You'd probably be concerned for your friend, but wouldn't be too disturbed by his walking away and ignoring you. The truth of the matter is, you really don't know. So practicing mindfulness, mental labeling, and cognitive reframing are powerful tools for taking control of your mental state and preventing your emotions from controlling you. To learn more about how incessant, unwanted thinking can negatively impact your life and what you can do about it, check this video out.